Alive and alert on the north side of the dirt. It is your man D-Real coming at you with another Be Real with D-Real, where Edutainment explains it. Ultimate Invasion, issue number 3. Yep, we're pushing our way towards that ultimate conclusion. A lot of developments, a lot of interesting and strange things have been occurring in Ultimate Invasion, and we're going to talk about it here in a second. But before we do, let's get the legalese out of the way. Comment, like, subscribe, and share the Be Real with D-Real page so that when new material comes out, you get it. If you're digging what a brother's shoveling, put some dirt in my bucket. Comment, like, subscribe, and share all that you see and hear right here. Ultimate Invasion number 3. And here is that cover page for Ultimate Invasion number 3. Dropped it on August 30th. Man, I'm just now getting around to doing a number 3. I'm slacking. No, I'm not slacking. I just have a lot of videos I'm working on. And there is a variant cover of Ultimate Invasion number 3. I like that cover better. That's Viper, Sunfire, and the Silver Samurai of the Eastern conglomerate. In the Maker's new universe 6160, a lot of things are different. Let's talk about what's different. First, no Avengers, no X-Men, none of that. Just what the Maker believes should be in his universe. And from what we saw last issue, last fight he got a bunch of his brain busted loose, and he does not have an accurate memory of how his universe should be. I'll tell you one thing. We don't see anybody from the 616 in this comic. A lot of storytelling going on. How much storytelling is going on? Now, as y'all recall, in the last issue, a gang of Avengers, well, I won't say Avengers, Ultimate clones came down on Latveria during this joining together of the different groups. You had the Hulk. He's kind of like a Buddhist monk now, hair shaved bald. You've got the European block of Sunfire. I'm sorry, not the European block, the Asian block of Sunfire, Viper, and Silver Samurai. And then you've got the Russian, they're almost like a mafia. You've got Magic, Ilyana. You've got Colossus, Piotr, and you've got Omega Red, Arcady. So these are the powers that be, along with the Maker, of course, in Latveria. And everything is not always what it seems. We had a big fight, and of course, Obadiah Stane caught it. So in the beginning of the next issue, we are at the funeral of Obadiah Stane. Howard Stark and Tony Stark looking on in grief. Tony Stark almost looks kind of Asian, doesn't he? But his mama named Maria. And there we got the splash page. I almost feel like Outlaws Mourn You Till I Join You should be playing right now during this dialogue. So that's what you get. That's a lot of splash pages, or gatefold, whatever you want to call it. I like that about Ultimate Invasion. Now, after they have their little conversation, how long will they mourn me, so on and so forth, Stark asks him, what happened in Latveria, Dad? And so Howard Stark has to do a flashback because, as we saw, Howard Stark learned a whole bunch just talking to the Maker. Now he's about to learn a whole lot more. Check it. Chapter 3, 6160, through the looking gap. Through the looking glass. Tongue-tied. Okay. Hickman and Hitch still doing an interesting job. Now, here in Latveria, a couple days ago, we had Howard Stark in a room with a lot of noted people. Another one of them splash covers. Now, who do we see in that picture? Emmanuel da Costa is introducing himself. We know that's Roberto da Costa's folk. You got the Russians, you got the Hulk, and over there in the corner, you see the Asian conglomerate. They're all together in a room. They're not fighting each other. Why is that? Well, before we break that down, let's get a little more clarity of who's in the room. We have Ra and Khonshu up there at the top. I know you know who's who, just simply by the symbol on their foreheads. One only talks in the daytime, one only speaks at night. And then we've got this Henry Duggery. Ooh, well, we heard that name before. He is basically, for all intents and purposes, Captain Europe. He can't be Captain Britain because he's speaking French. So even though he wields the sword of might and the amulet of right, which we saw last, I think, in an issue of Heroes for Hire, the Black Knight was wielding the sword of might and the amulet of right. So, yeah. Now, here we got an impatient Ilyana Rasputin that wants to know who the hell attacked us because I want to attack them back. And Howard Stark, sitting in the room perplexed, says, I'm surprised that you would even meet with her because Piotr, Ilyana, and Arkady are the enemy. They're the bad guys, supposedly. Now, the revelation that the Hulk makes right there in that middle panel to Howard Stark, there are no enemies in this room. Say what? Here. The world, that is the world as you know it, them as enemies. Look around this place and you will see that there are 7 major territories represented. And though we have not yet fully circled this sun, when our time has come, each of our nations will play the adversary, just as the Rasputins do now. So the Maker's world is smoke and mirrors. It's a game. Because as they explain it in this book, the world at large hates superhuman beings. And at some point, the world will probably loke up and come up with a plan to try to get rid of all superhuman beings because some of them are perceived as a threat. So this group of beings has gotten together and created this scenario where each conglomerate from each region takes turns playing the heavy. Now, I know where y'all are at. Y'all are probably the same place Howard Stark is, where he says, well, out comes the Maker. He's part of it too. Of course he's part of it. He made it. So Howard Stark gets to a place where he's like, if you guys faking like one of you are the enemies and everybody else is fighting him, what's the end game in all of this? Maker's response: Mr. Stark, now we're getting somewhere. See, Starks ask deeper questions. You know what I mean? This is the world as we know it in the 6160. The large dots, seats of power. The smaller dots, lesser territories. So we can see a heavy concentration of power, Eastern United States, Central South America, a couple of places in Europe, Central Asia, and Northern Africa. Take note of the one black dot in Central Africa. We know the big dots are seats of power. Yet, on the next page, that one black dot is what? Undiscovered territory. So in the 6160, it's clear that that should be Wakanda, or something that resembles Wakanda is an undiscovered territory. So in the 6160, the Wakandans have chosen to maintain their exclusivity, their anonymity. It's what it seems like. Okay? So, him and his son are having that conversation about what went down in Latveria and what he saw and what they talked about. So now, Mr. Stark has decided he's going to make a stand against the Maker and all of them folks because he thinks they're diabolical. He thinks he thinks what they're doing is atrocious and that a stop should be put to it. How? Yeah. We see, well, this is a flashback. Howard Stark is with the Maker, and the Maker is showing him the inner sanctum of Latveria. And someone in a Fantastic Four costume is working at the center of it. And when they turn their head, we get to see is that Dr. Doom or Reed Richards playing the man in the iron mask. The plot thickens. Now, epilogue. The far future. That almost kind of looks like the Fortress of Solitude in the Superman movie. But then we see those giant men, those Caps, those Thors, those Wasps, those Visions that attacked the past a few days ago. Now, we talk about past. We talking about future. How can we talk about the past and or the future without talking about yours truly? You know what it is. You know who it is. That is an amazing looking Kang, is it not? And that's what's about to go down in the conclusion of Ultimate Invasion. Kang versus the Maker in a battle for supremacy, congruency, true order, the restoration of how that universe should be. We're going to find out in issue 4 what ultimately takes shape in the pages of Ultimate Invasion. Please join me for the conclusion of this engaging book. That's it. Fret not. I will be coming at you with another one of them other ones. And until I do, y'all be good. Be good to each other.